just know that.
Really? You didn't think?
No, that was my one line for the day.
Continuity.
Yeah, I got a bubble sword. Sorry.
Oh.
Welcome everybody. I'm Tim. Welcome to Designzilla's. Are we on?
We're on.
Hello, Facebook.
Hey,
Hey!
How's it going? I know my wife's watching. Hi, Lisa. So today we're going to talk about Facebound. But first, I just wanted to introduce myself. Let's go ahead and get this rolling. So, like I mentioned, my name is Tim Mehta. I'm the lead digital strategist here at Designzilla's. And before we get started, I wanted to get a little intro around the room. So we want to start here with Emily. Tell us what your name is, what you do, and what you hope to accomplish after today.
Emily Walker. I work for United Arts of Florida. I am the online and workplace giving account executive, and I hope to bring more knowledge back to the office on how we can better use Facebook ads to bring awareness about United Arts and our upcoming programming events.
Very cool.
Sounds good.
Why she went first?
Yeah. Set the bar.
What are they saying? I blanked out.
Oh, what your name is, what you do, and what you hope to accomplish after today.
I'm Joshua Walker. I'm a web and experience developer, and I hope to just build user-centered stuff. So,
Very cool.
keep it raw.
Inbound's all about that, for sure.
I'm Jim Blake. I work with World of Decor and ASD Wholesale and the graphic artist and photographer there. We've recently gone from dinosaur print media, I mean, probably the last holdout, to doing a lot more advertising via social media and email. And I've kind of been sidelined into the email and the Facebook stuff. So just if I can get any more insight and just better ideas and techniques to bring back.
Very
That's what
cool.
I'm-
Nice. You said dinosaur print?
Yeah, well.
It's
old school, like, yeah, crazy.
I say literal dinosaur.
Like actual, like, you know.
Yeah, traditional test.
Yeah, direct mail, mailing lists, taking
Okay.
physical mailers to the, grouped by zip codes and stuff, so they can get to new homeowners and stuff, and
Okay.
decorators and
Nice.
that sort of thing. So
Awesome. Well, if you start doing dinosaur stuff, this is it.
actually, we do have some big dinosaurs in there. We do have some big dinosaur statues, I think, in the showroom now.
Boom!
Oh,
Bring them.
good.
We'll go right here.
Hi, Kat Hayes, Vice President of Sales and Marketing, and any opportunity our team gets to, I think it's great for us to continue to learn, train and educate, and continue to grow. And so your support, Tim, and I'll see you.
Nice.
I am Jessica Fama. My husband and I own Fama Creations. It's a small reclaimed wood woodworking business. We do custom furniture and walls and farmhouse tables, and basically if you see it on HGTV, we can do it. And I'm here because I need to learn a little bit more about Facebook ads and, to grow a small business. We need to have, it's economical, I feel like, and it's a good way to get it out there. So I just want to learn more about it.
Perfect.
I'm Danielle Irigoyen. I'm one of the content developers here. Work with all things copy related. And obviously doing that on a daily basis, I always want to, make sure I'm up to date with all the top industry knowledge.
Very cool. Kona.
Hey everyone, I'm Nick Osler. Excuse me. I'm the marketing and ops coordinator here at DZ. I keep our campaigns and ourselves organized and on target. Excited to be here, excited that you guys are here, and can't wait to get started.
Very cool.
Cool. I'll go as two people walk in.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Just in time.
We're early, sorry about that. Come on in, grab a seat.
Hey.
Hi there.
How you doing? I'm Johnny. Jerry. Nice to meet you, Jerry.
Alright, perfect timing. We're actually just going around the room. Everyone is introducing themselves. So why don't you guys give us a little intro of what your name is, what you do, and what you hope to accomplish after today.
Sure, go ahead.
My name is Mark, and this is my friend Jerry.
I'm Jerry.
We started our business called Get Bless, and it started on July 1st. It's a mobile spa where we also do life coach, and we do massage facials and retreats and meditation.
Cool.
And
Cool.
Sounds very cool. So what are you guys looking to get out of today?
Definitely learning marketing and kind of to, like, we've been going to meetups, that's more of a one-on-one, but
Yeah.
mass marketing is always good. Our
Okay.
target market is like timeshare, resorts, luxury homes, I mean, professionals as well, you know. You
Yeah.
don't want to go to a bunch of in the hood. Like that.
Yes, sir.
We want to make sure that we
So you're like a B2B type stuff.
yeah,
Very cool, very cool. Really glad everyone can make it. All you guys.
I didn't get to say anything.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Hey, I'm Johnny, CEO and founder of Designzillas. Really what I'm hoping to get out of today is, you know, in a lot of ways, Facebook is the internet. And, you know, that's the reality, right? And it has this, you know, this beautiful power of bringing human connections to businesses and to consumers. And it's just an exciting platform. And there's so much opportunity for businesses to leverage that power. And obviously using inbound principles, inbound marketing principles, which is also very, you know, user-focused, human-focused. It's just exciting to be able to see those two pieces come together because usually they're not combined. So
Yeah,
that's
for
why
sure.
I said it.
Great to meet everybody. Thanks again for coming out. First thing we're going to start talking about is inbound. So essentially what Facebound is kind of like what Johnny just explained. It's taking two concepts that really already exist and bringing them together to kind of create a new process that would benefit, you know, the people who not only are using it, but the people we're targeting as well. So the first question I have for you guys is, who here already uses or is aware of inbound marketing? Okay, all right. So the first thing I want to do to kind of give us a quick, you know, refresher on what it is give us a quick definition of what inbound marketing is. So inbound marketing is kind of like the antagonist to outbound marketing, which is traditional stuff, also known as kind of disruptive marketing. So this would be, you know, your TV ads, your PPC ads, let's say the cold calls, the cold emails, different things like that. And looking at this graphic, you know, it's like you got the old marketing is another way of what it's being called. Clearly an inbound marketer created this graphic. Inbound marketing is the new marketing. It's more of providing value to the users so that the users will kind of come back to you for when they do want to make a purchase. So value is, you know, kind of giving them content in ways that are entertaining, informative, or just valuable in any way. And you kind of play on the rule of reciprocity. Reciprocating? What is reciprocity? Someone help me.
That was right.
Reciprocity? I just shouldn't even have said anything.
yeah.
So you're playing on that rule, which is essentially when you give someone something, they're psychologically more inclined to want to give something back, or at least engage with you in some way. The first way, one of the first tactics that was used with reciprocity, I feel like it's wrong. Okay.
That's right.
Okay. Well, it's actually some Buddhist monks were in an airport, and what they would do is, you know, they were having a problem that no one was taking the little pamphlets that they were trying to hand them. So what they started to do was they had one monk standing over here, and they had another one over here, and the flow of traffic was coming this way. So the first monk would just hand them a flower. They would be like, you know, what's it cost me? And they would say nothing, just take this flower. You know, it's for you, just have it. And then they'd come to the second monk down the way. And after they implemented that, handing the flower first, giving first, that's when people started to take these pamphlets, you know, a lot more. Like, I don't know the percentage, but it was, you know, it was such a success that the airport actually had to ask them to stop doing it. Because so many people were, you know, getting the attention of it, and it was pretty much just broke the system, you could say. So that's essentially, you know, reciprocation, and that's what inbound plays off of. It's providing value first. You know, putting out content that is helpful to people so that they'll come back to you when they need your business. Now, just because, you know, we're showing this graphic and it's kind of like saying outbound marketing is bad, it doesn't mean everything in life is bad and good or black and white. You know, what Facebound represents is bringing these two together and kind of optimizing the benefits of both things. So the way inbound marketing works is essentially it creates content not just to tailor toward the user, but what stage of the sales funnel or buyer's journey that user is in. So the awareness stage is essentially when a person or a user is not aware of their problem. You know, it's something to help them become aware of that problem. And we're going to go through some examples a little later. The consideration is after they've identified the issue, they want to look at all the different solutions that exist. So this doesn't mean just you and your competition, but all different solutions to whatever that problem might be. In the decision stage, that's when they know, okay, this is my solution. Now this is when they go through all the different companies and they make their decision there. That's where you really want to use your unique value propositions, testimonials, and things like that. In the delight stage, that's a lot of the delight stage is working toward kind of getting repeat users or repeat customers. So if you're, for example, with what you guys are doing, that's definitely something you want to delight and provide information content to people that will, like let's say like a loyalty program or something is an example of delight content. And so that's kind of the flow of how inbound marketing works. Do you guys have any questions? Definitely, feel free to raise your hand, interrupt. You don't have to wait for the end for any questions or anything as I'm going through this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
And he was mentioning like a problem, but it could also be an opportunity. So if there's, it doesn't necessarily have to be like, I need a solution to this terrible problem. It could also be like someone wants to buy a custom piece that you have or something similar, and they're like, okay, this is my opportunity, and I want,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's both things. So.
Yeah.
I had sorry.
No problem.
That's all good. So what do you guys feel like, for those who are using inbound or just hearing about it, what do you think the biggest pain or the biggest frustration people have, you might have or people might have with inbound marketing?
They're just inundated with it.
Okay, just saturated with all the information coming into them.
I think the knowledge of value first
Okay.
versus like pay me now.
Yeah.
They can't grasp that. Like it's
Mhm.
hard. Like,
Yeah, it is. Like a lot of people are very much at that, they're at that decision stage already where it's like, I want the business now. I think that's the part about inbound marketing that I also find frustrating is that it is a longer process. And because of that, the distribution of getting this content in front of people, like you said, there's so much that's already, being exposed to them. So the main ways inbound marketing really uses distribution or, says they want to get in front of people is through search engine optimization and email marketing. But SEO takes a really long time, especially to get on that first page, and I think it's like 90% of people don't go to the second page anyway. And email marketing, you have to provide something, and depending on the industry, it's not as easy to get an email. To get someone to fill out a form for something you'll provide them. In a lot of cases it is a little easier, but in a lot of cases it's not. So that's kind of where we bring in the Facebook ads to help with that one problem, is getting in front of people and getting in front of the relevant people as well. So who here already uses Facebook ads?
Haven't in a while. So it's probably
Yeah, we did it before.
Okay, so you tried it before. Did you feel like you got a lot of value out of the ad spend that you were putting into it?
It depends on what you're spending the money for. I feel like it depends on what I did. I used it for a bridal salon, and I also now use it for my own custom, business.
Yeah.
And sometimes different content definitely performs better than others, and it depends on how many people are really interested in that particular thing that you're posting.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's great, and sometimes it isn't. I haven't had a 100% success rate, but I would say 50%.
That's good. 50 is good.
I take it.
Yeah.
For what you pay for it,
Yeah.
I think it's a good value.
Facebook is like pennies on the dollar compared to PPC ads, which is essentially, I believe, right now the most popular form of digital advertising. But a lot of people don't know about advertising on Facebook, and Johnny also mentioned this. Facebook is the internet now.
Oh yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg doesn't want you to go to Google as your homepage. He wants you to go to Facebook and be able to do everything there, whether it's communicating with businesses or even buying from them straight from that platform.
I know target marketing is also key when you're doing an ad. You
Yes.
can even like break it down all the way to how much asset they have and how much money they have in account.
That's another very very valuable thing about Facebook is that they actually give you a capability of targeting people beyond just what website they might be on. So you have, and I think, okay, so I'm going to mention here. I have my notes here, so come a little bit back and forth. I'm not just looking at the wall. Okay, so that's exactly what I was actually going to talk about next, is how it collects the data. So what happens is, when you're on Facebook, you're using a specific device. You're using your phone or you're using your desktop. Facebook doesn't only monitor what you're doing on Facebook. So you like some pages, or you've commented on some, specific types of topics or businesses, or even you clicked on a link from a page. They do track all those things, but they are also tracking everything you're doing off of Facebook. So for example, I was, my wife had sent me a link for a carpet that she really liked. So I visited that link on my work computer. I also happened to be logging on my Facebook. The next day, I pull up my phone and I see an ad for that exact room.
Yeah.
So it's tracking anything that you're using Facebook on that device. It's also tracking your web behavior too. So when we start to talk about the different targeting capabilities here, it's not just based on what you're doing on Facebook, but everything you're doing off of Facebook as well. It's kind of scary. It's kind of cool. Cool for us because we're trying to Big Brother. There's actually a story about two roommates in college, and one of the roommates had a nightmare about swallowing. I think it was swallowing pills that were made out of razors or something really, really nightmarish. And the other roommate wanted to play a prank on him. So the other roommate was very good with Facebook ads. He created an ad so targeted that it only showed up in front of his roommate. And the ad that was targeted was talking about swallowing razor pills. His roommate got so freaked out, he broke his phone, he totally just went off the grid. He kind of lost it. And so that just shows you the power of how relevant and how hyper-targeted you can get with Facebook ads. So the next, besides interests and behaviors, another targeting method that is very valuable for inbound and Facebook and Facebound is using this pixel. Has anyone here used the Facebook pixel? Very cool. Especially if you have a website that gets a good amount of traffic for your business, this pixel is going to be very valuable. So essentially what it does is you add this to your website. It goes in the header, and then it's all over every single page. And whenever someone visits your website, their cookie gets tracked. So that's how they track us. Like when I was going through the rug, it grabbed my cookie because they had a Facebook pixel. So if someone visits your page, you can retarget that specific individual with any ad you really want to. And this is what helps make things that you're sending out so specific and relevant to people. So for example, if I visit, if one of us visits a specific page for a product, say they're looking at couches.
Creations.com.
Yeah.
Reclaimed wood dining table.
Yeah, so they're looking at a dining table page. They're not really looking at any other pages except for ones relevant to dining tables. So what we can do with this is we can specify whoever has visited a URL, so that's the web address, that has the word dining tables in it. Let's show them an ad, and let's show them this specific ad about dining tables.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
that is amazing.
It's very useful. This is probably beyond all the targeting methods you can use natively. This is one that is really valuable.
You can also use it to exclude people. I don't know if you're talking about that, but
yeah.
Exclude people?
Yeah, so say if you have an e-commerce store and somebody that visits your /cart, and then they go to /checkout, you already know that they've confirmed the purchase, so you wouldn't need to necessarily target them. But if I went to /cart but I didn't get to /checkout, that could be an opportunity for you to use Facebook ads to help push that needle forward. And then cart.
Yeah, the cart abandonment stuff is a lot of email is used for, but essentially you do the same thing with Facebook. And the difference is that you don't know who the specific person, you don't know their name or anything, but you know what. You know that they have something in their cart, but they didn't check out. So you can send them a little question, something like, haven't made a decision yet? Or, something that's very relevant to them. Might scare them a little bit, but essentially the more relevant your advertisement is, the more likely they are to click on it. I found the most success using this pixel for every Facebook ad that we use. Now another cool thing that Facebook can do with these pixels and with all targeting methods is they can create lookalike audiences. So say, for example, you get a medium amount of traffic per month, but you want to increase your exposure. You don't want to just show people, be shown to people who already visited your site. You want to be shown to people who are like people who visited your site, similar demographics, similar behaviors, interests, and things like that. So that's where Facebook creates a lookalike audience. Now this is within the custom audiences is in Facebook. So say, for example, you're tracking people who visited the thank you page. So people who converted, your customers, your ideal prospects. You can create a lookalike audience based off of people who visited that page. That way you're targeting people who are just like, according to Facebook, people who've already purchased from you.
Because of the data that they have against, having along with the people bought it.
For sure.
So, do they need a certain sample size before they can make a duplicate audience?
That is correct, yes.
Okay.
So I believe it's either 500 or 1,000, but what I've discovered is that when you install it, if you give it like a month or two, you're probably going to hit that number anyway. And I've also discovered it says 100 at least, but I've created audiences of people that was definitely less than 100, and the pixels still work. So it's a little fickle, but yeah, you can, it's worth trying regardless of the sample size. So I know we are going to talk about Facebook advertising, but the main purpose is to really talk about the concept of Facebound. So I have a resource here called John Loomer. He's for, as it says here, it's for advanced Facebook marketers. So once you kind of get the basics down on, the targeting, the creation, all those things, this is a really great resource. This is where I learned a lot of the tactics that we use here. He's got a lot of great blogs to go through. If you can obviously Google the basics, and then this is something you can go to for all the in-depth stuff that is really helpful. As you can see, he's got a lot of free stuff too, so that goes to kind of the reciprocation thing. He's doing the same thing that we're talking about here. Do you guys have any questions, real quick?
If we have success, can we bring you back to these things? If we have success.
Please do. Yeah. In fact, you
An requirement.
That's what you signed when you signed.
You thought it was a sentence.
So now that we know about Inbound and we know about Facebook,
Who's that?
I don't know, his beard's a little long to be me though. We're going to kind of define what Facebound is and start talking about how you bring these two together. Now I think after learning about Inbound and learning about Facebook, you kind of have an idea of how you can bring those together. And I just want to kind of marry those things with you now. In order to do this, we're going to bring together those outbound and inbound methods with Facebook advertising, which is disruption marketing, but we're going to advertise and disrupt people with content that is super valuable for them. And you'd be surprised on how many people actually click on social ads. So in order to do this, I just want to, we're going to use each other as case studies, but for the sake of, giving you guys an idea of a fake case study, we're going to use a dermatologist's office called Your Face Skincare. You can laugh. That's the purpose of it. So let's say Your Face Skincare is located in Orlando, and it's it's really doing a lot of great business, a lot of new customers coming in, new patients. But there's some competition that opened up down the street, and they're starting to lose a little bit of business. Now, a lot of the new customers that come in here from awareness type campaigns, so that's something they definitely want to concentrate on to start getting that new business back to them. So the first step of Facebound is it's 4 steps, by the way. 4 steps. Each step is going to have a couple things in it. The first one is adding that pixel as soon as possible. That way you can capture as many of those people coming into your site as possible. The next step, once you have that pixel installed and verified that it's working, you want to start creating that content. So this is the inbound part. These are Nick's fingers tucking away, by the way, creating some real content for us. And all pictures you see, like she was actually really frustrated with my moment. He's actually creating content, so this is real, it's not stock. But essentially you want to start creating content for each one of those phases in that buyer's journey. This is where the inbound part really is kind of like, this is where the hard work, the grunt work comes in. So you come up with a list of topics for each stage. So for example, with Your Face Skincare, in the awareness stage, we want to make people aware of the problem. So different examples might be what the sun really does to your skin. 10 ways to identify a mole, and why you should not trust people with wrinkles if you're feeling really crazy. You know, like but that's more clickbait or whatever. Anyways, so those are examples for the awareness stage for for our case study here. For the consideration stage, they know the problem. Now, what are all the different ways that I can solve this problem? So obviously, instinct will tell you, come to the dermatologist, we'll fix it for you. But you're obviously going to seem a little bit disruptive, and that's going to be a little more about me, when inbound is about them. It's about helping them, giving them all the solutions. So some examples for that would be 20 ways to naturally remove a mole. Or, 20 ways to naturally remove a wrinkle. You shouldn't remove your own mole. Go to the doctor.
He's bleeding to death.
How to protect your skin from the sun, or what to do if you do find a mole. So ideally in this type of content, as Danielle works on all the time, and as she was talking about before, is that you don't want to just put your solution in there, but you want to give them all their options. I mean, as a user, if you search that, that query, what you're looking for. You're not looking for one solution. You're looking for all the different ways you can solve this problem, and you're going to figure out which one is going to work best for you. So that would be content examples that you would create for the consideration stage. For decision, this is the closing stuff. Like I mentioned, this is where you have your unique value propositions, whether it's price, convenience, customer service, and this is also where you want to really show those testimonials. So get that social proof flowing. This is essentially your closer in the decision stage. So it's very important that you're as unbiasedly as possible, just being honest and telling them why you should choose you over the competitors. Because if they're at this stage anyway, they're done with all the informative, entertainment stuff, whatever it might be. Now they want to know who to use and why they should be using that person. In the delight stage, that's where you have, like I mentioned, the loyalty programs. This is where you can use email marketing, or you can even use the Facebook marketing to kind of send people either deals or just let them know you're really happy that they're your customer. You can also continue to provide them valuable information within this stage so they become advocates. So another part of the delight stage is referrals. You want to have them telling other people how great of an experience they had, but you want to create that experience for them too. So that is step one. Do you guys have any questions on step one?
Did you mention anything about which pieces, like from which stage, you should be creating for this first step?
All. So in this step, this is like I mentioned, you want to create all your content here. So all your topics, ideas. A great way to come up with topics and ideas is to actually use Facebook, not necessarily the ads, but kind of just Google what keywords that people are looking for when it comes to your business or your product. See what conversations are happening. You can go on Quora, which is a really great site to finding out what questions and answers people are having, in reference to your business. So this is a great way, like the research part is where you get the topics and you get a better idea. And you want to come up with I would say at least 4 to 5 topics per stage. So that way you have a good amount of things you can test and see which one works better. The last step of step one is to publish all these things to your site. You don't have to publish them all at once. You can start with the awareness, you can start with decision or delight. It's really depending on how much you can really afford to publish. Because when you think about it, people aren't notified when you have a new blog post or a new article or anything. They'd have to sign up for something for that. So you can have all these things already existing on your site, and this is why we're going to use the ads to get people to those things. Any questions?
When you say publish your content, is it kind of like, how YouTube has already section of videos? It's like, okay, then watch this, and next one. Is that kind of what you're saying about that?
Yeah, and within your website, if you wanted to, say for example, you have things in different stages that are about the same topic, you can have have that one, and then under it say you might also like this, and that. That's actually a really good tactic to use on your, to get people to continue their journey on your website. That's a very smart thing to do. Is if you like this, you might also like this.
Amazon.
Exactly.
Queen.
I also want to say that you got to think about it also as a chain of events. That at the very top of the funnel might be somebody that has no idea what their problem is. Like he was saying, you're just looking for ideas. of things that can contribute to maybe a problem or an opportunity that you have in your life. But a lot of people focus just on the decision stage, which is, choose us, not them. And 90% of the visitors who are using the internet aren't purchase ready. They're not ready to buy something. So use that as opportunities to nurture that flow and actually move them down the funnel naturally, as opposed to like trying to force them and only attract people in that decision.
Yeah, especially from a business perspective, like, if you have a sales team, sales manager, whatever, that's what they care about. They want the sale. Right. And then there's the marketing team that's like, okay, let's lead them to the sale instead of just trying to push them in their face.
That's a good question. When the sales step, do they go through the whole process before sales step?
That is a good question. So the way inbound works is that sales and marketing are essentially working together through the whole way. So this way, sales can communicate to marketing, hey, of the people who converted, these are the pages that they visited, or something like that. And then marketing can communicate to sales, hey, these are the most popular, pages that are being visited by everybody in general. Like, these topics are the most interesting to them. So having a synergy between sales and marketing, which some people call smarketing, is really helpful in the inbound kind of process. Kat, in being in sales, and Nick being in marketing, we're all always communicating, talking to each other, saying this worked, this didn't work, coming up with ideas. That's a really good question.
And help qualifying leads too. As they move through the content for different stages, the needs will fall off because either they're no longer interested and there's not a reason necessarily that they might be a good fit. So that content kind of steers them into your marketing qualified funnel, moving them down into the sales funnel. So when they get to that stage of a decision, it's actually less of a sale. It's more of a consultative approach. It's less of convincing them because they've already learned for themselves. You don't have to push your own brand. You've naturally engaged them and attracted them to your product or to your site. And they've read it with their own eyes and they've seen your visual samples, they've read your testimonials, what happened on it. So.
Very cool. That's a good question. Any more questions? We're going to jump into step 2. Step 2 is to start running ads and testing topics. So the first thing you want to do with the ads is it's easy to jump in and use all those different variables we were talking about. I want to do visitors of this page, and I want to do people who are interested in this and behaviors of this. In the first step for running ads, it's kind of like a soft opening almost, where you want to cast a very wide net and test all your topics to see which ones are resonating the best. So you want to find all the different characteristics of your ideal prospect. If it's location, in this stage, we're not going to focus on location. We're going to focus on, a larger, base, you could say. So let's say for your face skincare, right? We want to target people who are interested in skincare, anti-aging creams, things like that. We might be located in Winter Park, Florida, or Orlando, Florida, but let's target all of the U.S., or let's target places that have a high rate of, sunshine, so people might be more prone to, skin-related issues. So kind of like thinking about how can I get these topics out to people that would be interesting regardless if they're within my area or even if they, would be qualified to purchase, from me. So you want to look at like the base interests really. And that's how you kind of start testing all the different topics. So you would start with the awareness, content and run, like for example, you'd run one ad or you'd run 2 or 3 ads of your awareness content. You keep the image the same. You want to keep all the variables the same except that topic. That way you can get the most accurate gauge on which topic is really resonating with that audience that would be most similar to your audience. And then once you do that, it's really actually important, like Johnny mentioned, excluding audiences. When you have that ad out there for a specific article, you really don't want to target people who've already read that article. So what you want to do is exclude people who visited that URL or that web address. Because then that's when you start to become disruptive. It's like, I've read this article, why do they keep showing me this? And then what you want to do after that, so after you've kind of got the awareness stage, content down, you want to target people who have visited your awareness stage content. And you want to exclude them from that, but now you want to target consideration stage content to those people. And then do the same thing with decision. And then, delight if you have delight content going on. So that way you're gauging topics, you're getting an idea from a big sample size of what is interesting to them, what's not interesting to them, and then you're also testing the whole flow of it as well. So maybe after this topic, topic 1, in the consideration stage, topic 2 worked better after coming up with this one. And I know that's getting kind of meta and getting kind of like, very descriptive with it, but that's kind of the fun part. When we get to step 4, which is testing and optimizing, you'll see that's actually where we can have a lot of fun in discovering insights about all the work that we've done. So, yes.
Specifically regarding location, because the nonprofit that I work for is so Central Florida based, would you still not exclude everyone except for Central Florida when we give to Central Florida only?
So would your ideal prospect be anybody in Central Florida, or just a specific job title or something like that?
I mean, it would be, because our programs only basically support 4 counties throughout Central Florida. So why would our prospect that, say a prospect that lives in New York, why would it give to a nonprofit that only supports area programming in Central Florida?
That's a good question. So what I would do in that case, if there's really no criteria, beyond just being in Central Florida, you can start with that, because, if I target just one city, that's about 100,000 people or something like that. That's a pretty large sample size. When you start to target a whole county or whole, states, the sample size is, you gotta remember, everybody's on Facebook, and there's a lot of people. So if you wanted to, if you have other variables that really qualify who your ideal qualified prospect would be, then I would hold off on those and just do location-based to see what type of reaction you get from that. And then once you've gauged the most interesting ones, that's when you can start to be a little more specific. But that is a good question, because there are a lot of cases in which, people say everybody's my customer, but only people in Florida. Why would I show, people in Kansas stuff about, Florida sunshine, or what group you use?
I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes we do have donors from other areas, but mainly it's because they live in Florida, so they still support.
Yeah.
Because they once lived here, basically. Those are kind of more so the reasons of their attachment versus strangers that can give to their own art groups in their own cities versus ours.
Yeah. I think the point of running the ads broadly in the beginning is for a large sample size. I think for what you're talking about, you've got the large sample size is your market. Yeah. So in that case, you don't really need to worry about, well, step 3, you'll still want to be testing and optimizing and looking at different things. But, you kind of get to jump right into it. Step 2. So essentially the 2 purposes is to understand audience, or people just like your audience, and to start driving traffic to your site. So the cool thing, so hold on. Orders, skincare. Okay, like that. So this is also where alright, so now we're going to step 3, which is narrowing your audience, which is what we were talking about just now. So this is where we really want to be very hyper-relevant to your audience. We've got the large sample size, we've got the test, we know which topics work, and now we're going to kind of get in the ring after all the training that we've been doing. So here we want to target, I would say, creating 3 different audiences. You can always create more, depending upon what you want to test. But the first would be using the native interests, behaviors, career titles, things that are just in that one little drop down when you're creating the Facebook ad. So that would be one group, you're going to target them. The next group would be using the website visitors and kind of creating a lookalike audience based off those website visitors. When you create that lookalike audience, that's where you want to start to use location-based things, or things that are more relevant to your business itself. You can at the same time of using that lookalike audience, you can use all of the website visitors that have visited your site and just add that one variable only in Florida, or only in Central Florida. Because with that wide net you cast, there's a very likely chance you did hit people that are qualified. So you don't want to you don't want to exclude them. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So we talked about the website visitors. So the lookalike audiences, I want to talk about that for a little bit. This is actually, before I get to that, this is an example of how to create a custom audience of people who have visited a certain URL but have not visited another one, so including and excluding. So you go to the drop down there and then it gives you that option. People visiting specific pages, but not others. So this is an example where you can use the cart. So if they visited a specific page that contains the word cart, but they did not visit a specific page that says the word thank audiences, not only can you create it based off of your website visitors and general interests, but you can create it based off of email lists. So if you do have a large email list and you don't really know what to do with it, you can upload that into Facebook, and you have two options. You can just target those specific people whose email you have, or you can create a lookalike audience based off of that and target those people. Now, if you're in B2B, the email list is probably not going to work that well. This is because the email that you have needs to be the same email they log into Facebook with. And most B2B companies, when they're working with each other, they don't use their business email to log into Facebook. They use their personal one. So for B2C, using that email list is very effective, and creating a lookalike audience off it is also very effective. So what you want to do is, after you've kind of created these audiences and let them run for a while, I would say when you're doing tests, it does depend on the sample size, but I would run it for at least a couple weeks to a month. However long it takes before you have a reach of at least over 1,000. If you have a smaller group, depending upon just the total group, then anything around 500. The sample sizes, the smaller they get, the kind of more misleading they are. You want to make sure you have a wide range of people that have been targeted. Sorry. What would test audience, email list? 4. So we're going to go over to step 4 now, which, like I mentioned, is the fun part: testing and optimizing.
Cute, creepy kid.
So this is where you want to take all of the insights you've already got, and you want to continue to change and try new things, try new images with different topics, try new copy, or maybe don't use copy in your ad. This is where you want to get creative and have some fun. You never want to stop testing. Like, you might come across an ad that you created and it's just blowing up, it's doing amazing, and you're like, okay, I'm just going to sit on that. After a couple weeks or a month, your click rate is going to go down. Eventually the frequency of being shown to the same people over and over, with Facebook ads, your click rate, historically is always going to go lower and lower. So the amount of clicks and the rate of people clicking on that ad. So you want to stay agile. You want to keep testing and you want to keep having fun with it. This is where you can really get creative. So we're going to have a little test here of our own. Does anyone recognize any of these ads? All of them? Alright, that's a good thing, you remember. So we did run a Facebook ad for this meetup. We ran 5 specifically. They are all identical except for the image. So what we're testing here is the image. When you want to start testing multiple things, it's called multivariate testing. You're going to have a lot more ads that you're going to kind of manage, and you're going to need a lot more time to get an idea of what's working. So for our test, we're going to have a little vote here, and you guys, except for the people who already know, are going to write down on a sticky note which number you think performed the best. And perform the best means most clicks and highest click-through rate. So, you got a pen?
Can you have the Jeopardy music?
We can take one time down.
What were we voting?
You're voting which one that you think performed the best. So which one had the highest clicks and the highest click rate?
What was the first one that posted? Because you said naturally the click rate goes down. What was the first ad that posted?
It goes down after a while. This is only up a week. Actually, 8 days, 9 days.
You just want one number, right?
Pick one number.
I know, I'm
Write
really
it down.
between 2.
So think about all the different things. Like, for example, what would you click on, or what do you think the ideal person who would want to go to this, you guys would click on? And then once you have it, you can crumple it up and just throw it at me.
No.
This one?
Yes.
Like
Crumple it
read
up.
That was so good. Yes, hold it.
You can show me your answer. We don't want social influence. People's. All right, I'm gonna need someone to tally for me.
I got you.
Are these all the votes? All the votes are in?
All the votes.
All the votes are in. Okay. 3. So that's 1 for 3.
Okay.
4. 1 for 4. Hopefully we don't split decision. 3. 2 for 3. 5. Got 5 in there. Oh, look at this, another 3. Look at that. That's 3. Aha, okay. Another 3. 4. Ah, don't remember that one. Thank you. I ripped it. But it's a 4. Okay, another 4. It's a 4. Alright.
Yeah, 3 4s, 4 3s, and 1 5.
So, you guys, collectively, we think this might be the winner then. This one followed by this one?
Yep.
Okay. What I want to show you next is the winner, but before I show you the winner, I want to explain why I'm doing this. When you're creating these ads, it's really easy to have your own opinion of, I'm going to put more effort or create more ads with this image because I like this image a lot. I think it's going to do really well. 90% of the time, maybe 99% of the time, what you think is going to work best for your audience is not. The only way to truly know is to test it and see. 5 was the actual one who won this by a significant amount. This is the data. So we had 626 clicks, 3.75% click-through rate. And like I mentioned, you want to make sure you're testing and figuring things out. Let them tell you. This is what inbound's about as well. Is letting them tell you what they want to see, what they like, and then you work off of that. So the one who you guys thought did the best didn't do necessarily the worst, but second to worst. So not hating. I probably would have thought it was my face or something. So just really cool to keep in mind that our assumptions
And how
are
much
not.
did you pay for that campaign? Out of curiosity, like on an
So we
average
were doing-
budget of a
I
campaign.
believe
Yeah, Tim, how much did we
How much
pay?
I believe it's either $10 or $20 a day.
Okay.
Is that for all or for 1K?
For all. So like you have one budget for all the ads.
Ah, okay.
And then what Facebook does is it takes the top performing one and it starts to push that in front of more people. It kind of does that part of the thinking for you. An important thing though also to remember is that some things might not get as much as a chance if you have a shorter campaign rolling, say it's only for a week. Some things might only have like a reach of like 40, which is not nearly enough for you to know. So there are some instances in which you don't want to necessarily turn everything off and only use that one that's working really well. Just turn off the ones that have a large sample size and have not done well. And give the other ones a chance, give them a couple more days, maybe a week.
Why does the reach so much higher on the first ad?
Oh, because what happens is that, like I mentioned, Facebook will identify which one is performing the best based off of the desired result. So our desired result was website clicks. Whichever one was getting the highest rate of website clicks was the one Facebook said, we're going to show this to more people more often, because it's the most successful. Which is really nice because then you don't have to go in there and manually worry or do about that. When you're checking up on Facebook ads, the best thing to really do is just kind of hit the screen, look at all the different data, see. We have the relevance score, which is based off of, how relevant or how helpful was this show to people. We have positive and negative feedback. Most of the time you're going to have a lot of negative feedback. A lot of what that's based off of is if people are clicking and saying hide this ad or it's not relevant to me. Don't get your feelings hurt if that happens. It's actually a normal thing. If you're not just straight up like putting something out there that's not business related, it's just like Time Magazine or something like that. They're not going to get that as much. But don't worry about that. You really want to concentrate on the result rate and this relevance score here. Those are the ones that are usually your top performers.
Quick question. As far as the results part of it, like obviously for this campaign, you want people to go to your website.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can go to your website, you can call, you can contact you via Facebook. So you wanted people to, instead of sending you that message direct and like basically contacting you immediately through Facebook, you want them to instead go to your website because that helps boost your SEO as well as use the ad. Is that part of the?
So there are different.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So there are different, campaigns you can go for. Website clicks is one. I don't think it doesn't get as deep as the SEO thing, but what it does is it kind of helps. Like it's interesting. When you choose a campaign, it targets users who are more likely to engage in that result based off their previous behavior. So what this was doing was, because we picked website clicks, it was targeting people who are more likely to click on links in ads, which is really cool. So the other different types of campaigns you can do are page engagement. So if you want to put out a post as an ad, you don't necessarily want people to go to your site or convert. You just want them to engage. It's going to be targeted towards people who engage with ads, not necessarily click on them. So that's comment, like, share.
Gotcha.
Which is kind of a little hack, because essentially that's also what gets you the most reach, is when people are, engaging with it, and if they're engaging, they're more likely to click on a link to, things like that. You can also do conversions. So what you can do with the Facebook pixel is you can say, create a conversion pixel with this URL. When you're creating that, it gives you that option. So if you wanted to track people hitting the thank you page based off of people who came in through these ads, it'll show you lead conversions. That can be your result. And whatever has the most lead conversions or lead conversion rate will be the one that Facebook chooses to show more often. Yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
So then can we do the other parts of the funnel as well, where if they go to the page and they don't fill out the form, then you can retarget them?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's retargeting is a really strong thing of Facebook. That's actually, I believe, more effective than a lot of email marketing. It's not as hyper targeted where you can personalize it to their name, unless he's your roommate and you know everything about him and you can scare the crap out of him. But it's really helpful when you when you just want to get in front of people without interrupting them via email, and you have content that is going to be interesting to them without.
So we got a borderline creepy question.
Yeah.
So say who you know who you want to talk to, like by name or whatever. Can you target like that?
If you have their email. If you have their email, you can target.
Well, I mean, any company you work for that's big usually has a decent amount of email, so it's like, if that person was worth it, I don't know.
So what you can do, like, you can't upload one email and only target them. I believe there's a minimum on that list, similar to the lookalike audiences, where there needs to be a minimum. But you can upload an email list, 100 people, 1,000 people, whatever, and just target those specific individuals. And then, you kind of have that retargeting there too. Because then you can get them in their email, you can get them on Facebook. Soon you just stand in front of their house and be like, watching you. So this is the results of this test that we did here today. I'm glad that that 4 got a lot of help, but also 3 being let's see here, the actual logo here. It's humbling to see that you guys like that logo too, because I'm not a designer and I created that. And then, as I was speaking about before, this is an example of when you want to test more things than just an image. So this was 30 different ads, and as you can see here, we had 3 different criteria in which we were testing. We had 4 different images, I believe it's 3 different headlines, and whether to use copy or not. If I decided to use like copy 1, copy 2, and 0 copy, I would have had like 50 ads, and that's a lot to manage. And the time to create those does take a while. So, these types of tests, when you do this, you really want to give it a lot of time. Make sure each ad really gets a chance, at least 500 to 1,000, depending upon your total audience size. So also you want to find the ideal combinations. Say for example, I feel like just because one of these images is working really well, doesn't necessarily mean that that image is going to work with every headline or with every piece of copy. the combinations of the headlines and the images really make a big difference. So don't make the mistake of choosing one image because it did well at first and then adding that to every single one, because it's really not going to give you that that result you want. Which is kind of interesting because the image is usually what drops people in at first, but you also want to make sure the headlines are relevant. So this is actually good to know too for Facebook as far as the attention of when an ad shows up. First they look at the image, then they look at the headline, then they look at the copy. That's usually the order of which you want to concentrate your ideal ad that you're creating. So if you guys have any more questions on Facebook ads specifically, because I know that was a big topic here with inbound, we're going to have a survey sheet that you just fill out real quick, just 2 questions on the way out. First of which was, what you thought about today, and second of which is which topics you would want to learn about in the future. So you can circle as many of those topics as you want. You can do one big circle if you think all those things would be helpful for you. But just kind of wanted to give you guys a better idea of how you can combine inbound marketing with Facebook ads in a way that's kind of taking the disruptive marketing and the new marketing and making sure you're seeing the gray areas and not just one bad, one good, and how you can combine them to really target the most relevant audience you can. And do you guys have any more questions?
I think I do, but they're going to be on that sheet for many honestly.
Our company is based on mobile, and our target market is our vacationers. And they're really not around the area yet until they come. And they already booked up the hotel, the resorts.
Yeah.
How do you get engaged with those type of people always on the move?
So if you have people who, for vacationers, is it like, do you get a lot of impulse purchases where after they arrive, then they call you, or is it usually ahead of time?
Both.
Both?
I would say, yeah.
So ahead of time, it is difficult to know where people are going to go. There are ways to tell, like, people planning a vacation here and there. I haven't found that within the Facebook ads, but if I had looked for every single variable, I've been spending like 24 hours. So it is possible to do that, I've heard. But what you can do is there's a targeting when you go to the locations, there's a drop down. You can say all people in this location, or you can say people recently visited before this location, or people visiting this location.
Right.
The people visiting this location is when people have not checked in, but logged into Facebook in that area, but their home, because it knows where you live, is at least I think like 100 miles away. So that would be ideal for you guys. We actually had a rental car company, we run ads for, in which we did the same thing. Rental cars aren't as impulse, but I think using that for something like what you guys do would be really effective.
I noticed you mentioned also about reciprocity, right?
Ah! Did you say right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we have this kind of like a promotion where we give them a facial first, and then they kind of upgrade throughout.
Yeah.
How do you walk them through regards to kind of like doing a campaign?
I would essentially in the awareness stage, just kind of identify like it's not necessarily a problem sometimes, which is in your case, your guys' case, it's not like you're solving a problem, you're adding a benefit, So, in the beginning in the awareness stage, people aren't aware of this benefit. So you would create something like, 5, natural, let's say 5 health benefits of getting a facial, or, all the different benefits that you guys might be providing from what you do, like the result essentially. And then once they visit that, you know that they're aware that you can get a facial and then you can get the whole thing. Then you can start talking about all the different types of massages and facials that are available, benefits of those. Then you get to the decision stage, and be like, we're the best, listen to all what our customers said, and then essentially, that's when you can kind of close them.
Nice, thank you. I'm guessing most of your customers already have some type of legacy already, is that correct?
Actually, no, we have a lot of, you call them like premium startups, where, it's previous business owners who kind of want to go into a new venture. And Facebook ads has been really helpful for them. This one we were just showing before, right here, we're using these awareness type of, when you have a new venture, awareness is the biggest stage for you. You know, because you want people to be aware of your brand, you know, who you guys are. So, you know, we've been running ads for them for a couple months now, and it took about, when did we start running ads for them? I think it was in June? No, May. It was like April or May. And it took from then till just like last week before we hit an ad that has a reach of like 50,000, just one ad, a reach of like 50,000, you know, has like 100 or 200 likes, like 30 comments, a bunch of shares. Like, you know, it takes a lot of time and patience, you know, to find that perfect formula, you know, or whatever topic it might be. But I think for startups, this is actually, you know, this specific tactic of like Facebound is really helpful. Just from what I've seen in like the results from our clients.
Probably case by case, but like when you don't have any legacy, like what do they want right away? I know it's awareness, but do they want people to go to the site? Do they want people to comment and talk?
I think a lot of it has to do with, you know, when you're experiencing something and you experience it in a certain place or environment, you're like subconsciously gonna recognize that color, that logo again. You know what I mean? So even if you're not talking about yourself, you know, you want them to have some experience on your site. If you want to have engagement on the page, that's actually helpful too. If, like, say for example, if the article is about you or it's, you know, written by you, it's not like curated, then getting engagement on that specific ad is still going to help build that awareness. Awareness is really hard to measure. That's like those people who put the billboards out there, and it's like, you know, how do you know what was attributed to that or not? You know, you can't be in people's minds unless you Facebook, apparently. So, you know, I think awareness is very important, you know, for new ventures and stuff like that. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I have a quick question. Going back to the budget thing, when you're running like test campaigns and test ads and things like that, like I always struggle with figuring, okay, how much do I want to put towards this ad, or how much do I want to put toward that ad, and also like as far as location and budget relation. You know, a lot of times you're like, oh, well, okay, I only want to put maybe $20 behind this ad, but you're saying recommend to leave it, like throw the cast out there, leave it the United States and see who it hits, where I would say, you know what, I want to focus more on like, because my marketer told me to become the king of your area, basically you want your brand to be #1 for your area, and then you go out further. So for the Facebook ad, I kind of what she had said, it's hard to kind of say what your budget, what you're gonna set at, because what's a good test, but how do you know if you're testing in the right areas for the right budget? Because I feel like, you know, you want the most for your dollar.
Yeah, I would say like usually, you know, the reason you start big isn't necessarily to reach big. Like your objective isn't to get those people, it's to test what you have. And you're kind of like using them almost, like, you know, and like in a, you know, like a guinea pig type of way.
Yeah.
And then once you have that optimal, you know, like formula based off of that, you know, that's when you can start using that on, you know, the people locally, and then you can start continuing to grow that. As far as the budget goes, you know, for the different audiences, one thing that I actually learned from John Lewin, which is like common sense, but I never thought to do it, was that like on a daily basis, or maybe even every other day, as you're looking at your ads, whichever like ad set, so you have budgets for different ad sets, whichever one is doing the best, you want to allocate more money into that and less money into the one that's not performing as well. You know, that's like, it's essentially just like programmatic kind of thing, but you need to do it manually. I would suggest, like, depending upon your audience size, I think $5 a day is the minimum. You know, we usually do like, you can, well, we don't usually do the same thing, but like you can do $10 a day, you know, which ends up being $300 a month. And depending upon how effective it is, that's a pretty small investment. I know, who's in realty? Or who's a realtor? Someone's a realtor here, right? No?
No.
Okay, the person sitting right here can send me I've heard of people who, you know, have closed, you know, $100,000 deals, whatever, $1,000 deals, you know, using a budget like that with Facebook. So it really like, it's really case by case basis of what type of like ROI you're gonna see. But as a business, I think like, you know, a couple $100 a month, just to at least see if it works. You know, is definitely worth it.
Okay. And you suggest to let them run for the month and see how they perform, or a month minimum, or like 2 weeks?
It depends on the audience size. Like with the sample size, you want to look at the reach. As soon as the reach on that specific ad gets close to 1,000, that's when you're kind of have a good idea. Not the best idea, but a good idea of how effective it was. So when you have, and sometimes I'll get impatient and I'll do it at like a couple hundred, like 400, 500.
Yeah.
And I'll shut it off based off of like, if it's a huge difference, like this one's getting like a 3% click rate, this one's getting like 0.9, and it's only reached 400 or 500 people, I'm turning it off.
Right.
Because that, even though it's a small sample size, that's such a large difference.
Right.
That
You already know it's not working.
yeah, you kind of have a good idea it's not working. You can never say for sure.
Right.
Because the one that I was talking about that has a reach of like 50,000 did not start off as the best one. It actually started off like very middle of the pack. And if I'd shut it off, if I'd impulsively shut it off, then we would have missed out on that whole thing.
Right.
So it's a lot of patience, a lot of testing, but it's kind of like investing in a way, or like fantasy football.
Yeah, let it ride.
It's like,
Yeah.
you guys, who plays fantasy football?
What?
Okay. I'm gonna use the example anyway. So it's kind of like you make your investment, whoever you pick on your football team, and then you have to have patience before they can go perform. You have to wait till Sunday. That's the deal. So it's very similar with this, is that you got to give it time, you got to give it enough volume. There's a lot of studies out there, case studies that are kind of like for psychological experiments, like human behavior and stuff, where they would they would discover things about these smaller towns, and these certain smaller towns might have a huge rate of whatever they're looking for. But because it's a smaller town, you'll kind of see a larger variation of things. It's a smaller sample size. So just because that small city has this one variation doesn't mean that it's like causation versus correlation type thing. So sample size is like they're actually debunking a lot of different studies because of that, because they're using a smaller sample size compared to like the whole. There's just so many variables,
Right.
So sample size is very important. That's definitely something we want to be patient with.
Also, never boost a post.
What? Yeah.
Did you guys ever talk about that?
No.
No.
Why?
Why, Jen?
No,
Do you know what boost? So has everybody seen that button?
Oh, I've done it
Yeah.
numerous times. But
Right.
Yeah.
So essentially, what Facebook will do, it'll just kind of randomly guess, who it should show that ad or who should promote that to. But obviously, the ad manager lets you get super hyper focused. You can go down to the details, control the content. You're basically in full control. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a shot in the dark. If you boost your post, you don't really know who's going to see it.
But that's not necessarily true, because I've boosted a lot of posts where I can set the interest as to who sees it. Same kind of thing as going back there and saying, these are the interests and this is the location.
Yeah, but that's the only things you can use. As far as the targeting with boosting posts, it's very limited compared to what you can do in the ads manager. And I've kind of discovered the same thing where if you want to boost a post, you can do that in the ads manager without just doing it on your page. So that's something so you go in the ads manager, and I don't want to get too technical, but there's a section in which you can look at all your current posts and previous posts. And you can actually, it's like in the Power Editor, it used to be called the Power Editor, where you can choose that, and then you can create, an ad based off of that using all the different targeting techniques. When you boost the post of things just on your page, you are very limited in your targeting methods.
Okay. Gotcha.
But there is something really cool, which John Lomer just wrote a blog post about, called unpublished posts. The cool thing about it is that you set it up as an ad, right? You get, you find the one that works, you get all that engagement on it, all the likes, shares, comments, then you can publish it on your page. So you publish a post on your page that already has 100 likes, 20 shares, whatever. And that way when people come to your page and see that, you can even pin it. So it's the first thing they see. You're kind of showing immediately the engagement you're getting on it, just boosting your social credibility.
Right.
Very cool.
Yeah. You gonna do a juggling now?
No.
Yeah.
You guys have any more questions? All right. Thanks for coming out.
All right.
drinks left, plenty of snacks, and don't forget to fill out that little questionnaire, which I will grab for you in a second.
Yeah.
You have this one?
Everyone say bye, Facebook.
Bye,
Bye, Facebook.